Hello, this is so exciting. I love the fact that we're in the royal box as well. So of course we are joined by footballing royalty, aren't we? That's how we're going to kick this off. It's so cool to have you here. The theme of this Women in Football is Be Inspired. I think no one more inspirational than Jill Scott, not just in football, but for young girls and young boys as well, looking up to people like Jill as role models to show you that basically you can do whatever you want if you put your mind to it, and that there are people there and allies who will support you and get you to where you need to be. And that is, I guess, what a lot of the next, well, today and tomorrow is going to be about. So I'm delighted to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me. I have the easy job of just sitting and having a lovely little chat with Jill, who's, I mean, you're enjoying retirement, aren't you? She's the busiest retired woman ever. Is this what you thought it was going to be like?
I'm sitting here thinking my bottom half's going to a disco and my top half's off to the office. But no, retired life, I thought I would have a little bit more time. But it's been great. Obviously, I'm just so I'm glad I've got work first and foremost, because I'm not somebody that plans too far ahead. So to have work is great. I think Shelley wants us back at the coffee shop doing some shifts, but it can't be possible at the minute.
I mean, that's it. You've got the coffee shop, you're an MBE, you have social responsibility, you're a campaigner, you've got a new job working with Man City at the academy, you attend many media events, you've been to the junk. I mean, the list is absolutely endless. How do you manage your time?
Not very well. I think having a good agency at the minute, give Joe a shout out. But it's been obviously that transition part. I think for me, obviously I went from football being my life every single day, kind of doing the same thing. So this has been completely different. But I think one thing that helped with the transition was I was always used to being busy, because I've come from a generation of football where it wasn't professional in the beginning. So I've always done a bit of coaching and stuff like that. So when we used to finish at 2-3 o'clock, when the game got professional, I wouldn't just go home, watch TV. I'd either be at the shop or coaching. So I think always having a few things going on has just helped with that transition.
What does it feel like being back at Wembley? Do you get that little buzz when you're here?
Yeah, I was here yesterday, actually. I don't just hang around here. But,
She does.
But no, I love it. They asked us to go out onto the pitch for a picture, and I was like, no, I need my last time to be when we won the Euros. So I haven't actually been back out onto the pitch. But so many great memories. I was doing an interview. I think I've played here 7 times, and it's such an honour. When I was little, I never thought I'd even get the chance to play at Wembley. So it's such a special place.
We'll go back to when you were little in a little bit, but I want to just talk about the here, about the now. I mean, 10 Downing Street the other week, that was a huge moment, wasn't it? And that open letter that you all wrote and put together and urged the government is actually coming off. So tell us about why that was so important and what that was just like, seeing your dreams turn to reality.
Yeah, I'm getting to do all these cool things, mainly because Leah Williamson's still playing. So I'm like, sorry, you ended up with me. So it was such an honour to go to 10 Downing Street and represent the team along with Ellen White and Beth Mead. But I remember literally it was the day after the Euros. I hadn't had any sleep. I think we'd been partying for about 24 hours, obviously trying to make the most of everything. And Lotta had put a message in the group just saying, what's our legacy going to be? And I was like, I've got a really bad head. I was like, can't even think. But I think she'd done some research, and 62% of schools obviously weren't given equal access to girls with PE. And I just thought, when I realised them figures, I was like, isn't it mad that a young girl will go to school and what do they say, football's for boys, girls, you were going to be doing something else. And for me, it was one of them where I fell in love with football at school, and I was very fortunate that we had a girls' football team, and this is going back a lot of years. But I think without that support, I wouldn't have gone on to have the career that I had. So the fact that you're taking away a potential dream for a little Jill, well, she was probably about that big, kind of really struck a chord with me. So it was fantastic work from Leah and Lotta, and it was great that I could go and take the credit at Downing Street.
You really enjoy yourself, and you're going to enjoy yourself as well with Soccer Aid coming up. I mean, you're going to be the captain of the team. So how did that come about? Did you get to pick the team? Or?
No. I definitely didn't get to pick the team. Just got a message, and I've been going to Soccer Aid for years. It's a fantastic event, obviously the work they do with UNICEF, the amount of money that they raise, and just giving every child an opportunity to play around the world. I think we take things for granted sometimes, just stepping out into the back lanes when I was younger, onto a pitch and just playing and enjoying sport, not just football. So I think it's a fantastic cause. I'm not looking forward to chasing Usain Bolt up the wing, but yeah, it's great. And yeah, I'm having a lot of like pinch me moments where I'm like, I've definitely got imposter syndrome, but I'm just going to go along with it.
I mean, I'm a Celebrity. That was another, I guess, pinch me moment. We had a really good chat in there about what was happening, you know, before you went into the jungle, how you've looked back at things afterwards. But how do you look back on that absolutely mad experience?
Yeah, it was crazy. I got an email straight after the Euros saying, oh, do you want to go on I'm a Celebrity? And I thought it was a hoax. But the girls had always said to us, out of all of them, obviously I got asked to do Love Island, which I turned down a few times. But they said, if you get I'm a Celebrity, you've got to do it. So I was like, yeah, I'll do it. But yeah, it was just a mad situation. Like the whole thing, I was hungry a lot of the time. You only get about 900 calories of rice and beans, and then you win a meal and it's like crocodile feet and you're just like, it's not great. But yeah, just so many mad moments. I was at a talk yesterday and I was telling the story of, for people that watched it, obviously the bike provided the water to do the dishes. So me and Boy George were on dishes duty, and Matt Hancock and Chris Moyles is on the bike behind us, and I'm like, pedal faster, Matt, I need the water to go hot. So washing the dishes, Boy George is singing Karma Chameleon. And I'm like, if I ever did drugs, which I haven't, I was like, is this what it's like? Because it was just, it was mad. But I do think people were talking about women's football. I haven't watched the show back, but I did do a lot of interviews on women's football and stuff like that. And to obviously get it on TV, a lot of viewers, if it's kind of helped a little bit, then it's worth it.
Did it help you?
A little bit.
Did you learn a lot about
you know what I learned? I learned that sport is just an incredible thing. I never thought I'd be equipped to go and live in a jungle for 3 weeks. And I think when I sit here and do talks, and it's been such an honour to play for England 161 times, the first being just as special as the last. But I think what sport teaches you, how to win, how to lose, how to be part of a team, how to help your teammates, kind of the mental side of it. It was really difficult in there in terms of like that psychological, that would like really drop you low and then raise you back up. So I always say for kids going into sport, don't think about that target of always kind of representing England. It's good to have it as a dream, but for parents, just getting the kids into sport, it can equip them for life.
And as well, sport and football can and should and is now, you know, accepting of many different types of people. And Boy George had said he's actually falling a little bit more in love with football. He's starting to watch football because he didn't feel that football accepted him. So you've definitely helped with that for sure. Yeah,
that was actually a really sad story. He said when he was younger, the boys didn't accept him and they didn't think he was kind of the right person to play football. But I don't think they showed this in the jungle, but when there was 11 of us, me and Owen, I think it was the night that you win like a stay in the caravan. And I remember saying to him, God, the amount of girls that would love to be in here with you now, and we're discussing like our best Premier League players or something like that. And because there was 11 of us, we made a little team and we give Boy George the attacking midfield with the captain's armband. And he was like, it's the first time he'd really felt like he kind of belonged to football. So yeah, there's lovely little moments like that.
You say, I want to take you back now, you say you fell in love with football when you were at school. What was a young Jill like, and what were you setting out to do in life, and was football always the dream?
I was just a kid that wanted to be outside all the time. I know you were talking about your daughter before, just outside. I didn't want to be watching movies and stuff like that. Always had scraped knees. And I think I went to school seeing football was being played and I was like, I want to do that. And I was only about 5. And then I think as time went on, I was like, I'm actually the only girl doing this. So it was difficult in the beginning when I've done a few of these talks and reflected on moments. I got a lot of stick. My first day at senior school, I actually was getting called names for playing football, and a boy tripped us up and I smashed my elbow in like 3 places. And it was like the first day of senior school is daunting enough, as well as being rushed to hospital. But Yeah, I think the one thing that I see is, although them moments were tough, I always picked my football boots back up because there was nothing in the world that was going to stop us from doing what I loved. So I was quite a driven child, and I think I built up my resilience from quite a young age.
Absolutely. And I guess that the young people out there are going to have very different role models, and female role models. As you mentioned, I do have a little girl. She's 3. She just loves being outside.
Yeah.
7:30 in the morning, when she's been awake for at least 2, we're outside in the bloody garden. Oh, for goodness sake. I grew up not only at a school where you absolutely did not play football, it was in Scotland as well. So, football was even, further down the rung of things. But I grew up just looking at men and male footballers, had posters up of them for varying reasons. But what was it like for you with the role models?
I did, like David Beckham, Frank Lampard, Steven Gerrard. And that's what I say now, like I do soccer camps, I've got Lucy Bronze, Leah on the back of the shirt. Yeah. Never mind, I always say, even though it's my soccer camp. But it's like, it's them things that now, I always say I had this dream that didn't exist. So my mum would say, what do you want to be when you're older? I want to be a footballer. I was 3rd child, the other 2 were doing well. She was probably like, just let her crack on with it. So this dream didn't exist, but now young girls, young boys as well, obviously they have the male role models as well, and young girls do, but now they've opened up this whole other world, and I think it just allows them young girls to dream. And you know what, it's not just about football. You think about all the females that are going into refereeing now, physiotherapy, and they might think, I'm not a great footballer, but I can see a female doing that job, the visible. Now I can dare to dream and think, oh, well, maybe I could do that when I'm older. So sometimes being visible is so important as well.
And what about those coaches that you grew up with that had a real impact on you? Who was it in your life that really brought out that talent and nurtured and helped you with your dream?
She'll hate us saying this because she hates getting the limelight, but Mo Marley for me, I know there's a couple of people in the room that was managed by Mo as well, but at them times when I was 18, 19, the game wasn't professional. She really went that extra mile. She made sure we still had that professional mindset. There was no cutting corners, nothing like that. There was no money in the game. She used to wash the kit. She used to make sure you always got to where you needed to be. And yeah, for me, she's an incredible woman. And the amount of girls I played at England under-19s and went on to play for England seniors who had been coached by her, managed by her. I remember playing for the 19s once, and I thought I'd had a good game in like a quarter-final of the Euros, and she dropped us for the next game, and I was absolutely gutted, and she was like the worst person in the world to us. I was like, why would she drop us? I did okay. And I remember her saying after that camp, I got selected to go away with the seniors, and she was like, I had to see how you reacted to see if you were ready for that step up. So she was always thinking ahead and helping you with your journey. So when we won the Euros, I remember I didn't want to go on my phone. I wanted to take it all in. I didn't want to take videos and all that. I wanted to live it in my head. But the only text message I sent, which I've never told my family, was a selfie to Mo with my medal and just said, without you, this would never have been possible. So, yeah, it was a nice moment. Yeah. And she'll hate that I've told that story.
We'll let her know, don't worry. For yourself now, you're going to get into coaching as well. You're going to be back at Manchester City.
That's kind of been blown up a little bit. I think I'm going to be doing a bit of work with the academy, boys and girls, hopefully, and suddenly it's like I'm going to be Pep's assistant at the weekend. So don't always believe the media, but
that was our fault.
I need to be back on the grass. Look, I walk past people and they go, "There's that girl from the jungle," and I'm like, I did play football for 30 years, so I need to. My passion is on the grass. I went to a grassroots event recently, and it was not that it was a tick box, but they just wanted us to get a few photos, and I was like, oh, well, if the girls got training, I'll take the sessions. And I had this little 6-year-old, and she was checking her shoulder. The ball was on the other pitch, but I was like, she's checked her shoulder, it's brilliant. So it's like, for me, them little wins when I'm on the grass, I love it. I do love it.
Was the plan then when you retired, yes, to have a little bit of fun, take every opportunity and say yes to as much as you could fit in, but eventually go back into coaching and getting stuck in?
I didn't really have a plan. That was the thing. When I go and do talks to younger girls, younger boys, they say, speak about long-term goal setting and stuff like that, but I never did it. And I don't want to lie, but I think a good point with that is, I always use me and Steph Houghton as an example. We started at Sunderland together. I went to Everton, she went to Arsenal, then we went back at Man City, and we've had very similar careers, but we're such different people with totally different routines. She would analyse everything, I wouldn't, and I think a point on that would be that you can kind of reach this target that you've got, but you can do it in your own way. Okay. But in terms of making a plan, I've always been like, I always think tomorrow's never guaranteed, and if you think too far ahead, you don't know what's going to happen. So it's always just been the best person you can be every single day. Had a manager, Nick Cushion at Man City, and he said, look, if you can look yourself in the mirror at the end of every day and say, I've done everything I can to be better than I was yesterday, then you can be proud. So yeah, I didn't have a clue what I was going to do. I still don't know now. Obviously coaching, I like doing the talks and stuff like that, but yeah, we'll just see. Dancing on ice? No, I'm only joking. I'm joking.
Be careful. What is it when you meet particularly young girls, that they want to chat to you about, and what do you really make sure that you sort of speak to them about, and what advice do you give them?
I think sometimes it's, again, that visibility piece. So I'll go along to sessions and I'll say to them, I think sometimes they'll look at you and they think, oh, you've been to World Cups, you play for England, played for England, I keep saying that, hanging on to the dream. You've done all this stuff, and it seems like something that is so unreachable for them. So when I go and see them and just have a normal conversation, say to them, look, I was just like you, I used to come along to these soccer camps. And then I think it's just kind of given them that realisation that their dreams can come true. And if you can help them in any way, and not just on the pitch, I like all the mentoring side as well. I did a lot of that in COVID with the Man City Academy, just checking in on a few of the girls because they were losing the motivation to do the individual sessions. They had all the worries with school and stuff like that. And I think it's about finding that balance in life. So yeah, just chatting to them like the normal people, really. And to be honest, I'm probably mentally about their age, so I get on quite well with them, to be honest.
Just doing a little time check, because I'm going to have 5 more minutes with Jill for now, and then have a little bit of a think about some questions that you might want to ask Jill before we break away for the sessions, and I make sure I usher you and get you all into the right places. But if there's anything that Jill sort of said you want to pick up on, I'm sure there's tons of stuff that I haven't asked you about. I mean, we could be here until tomorrow with all the stuff you've achieved. There's so many questions. When you just sort of sit back and think about your career, and yes, we want to talk about the positives, we want to talk about looking forward. Do you ever look back, is there anything you ever think, oh, I wish I'd done this, or I wish I'd done that, or are you not that kind of person?
Yeah, I try and have, I don't want to use cheesy things, but I do try and have that no regrets. Like, I feel so honoured to have had the career that I had. Like, I'll sit here honestly and say, look, I was just an average player with a big heart. As my career went on, and I'm playing with the likes of Kira Walsh, Georgia Stanway, Lauren Hemp, and I'm like, wow, they don't realise how good they are. And it took a lot of work for us to stay at their level. But yeah, in terms of regret, I think I just feel so lucky. Like, to have my last game at Wembley, win the Euros against Germany, it was just the absolute perfect ending. But one thing that I will say, obviously I tell a lot of jokes and whatever else, and you'll have been able to see in the final that I can be quite serious when I'm on the pitch. So I'm kind of like two different people in that sense. Like, I will absolutely give it my all, but I was so strict with myself, and I didn't realise how obsessed I was until I stopped playing. Like, it would get to 10 o'clock if you were watching Netflix series. No, I need to go to bed, I've got training tomorrow. I'd have 1 cup of tea, I wouldn't have 2 because it'd be too much caffeine for training the next day. So now I stay up till 11 and I have 2 cups of tea. I'm like so kind of out there, I suppose. But yeah, I think it's one of them where I always reevaluated my routine. So if I had a bad game on a Sunday, I would look back on the week and say, should I have gone for that Nando's on Wednesday? Maybe not. And then I'd always be trying to make sure I got the right routine. So I know I do joke a lot, and I was like that off the pitch, but I was so strict and regimented with myself and my performance.
How do you find working with, I get a lot of pundits and you know, players that you used to look up to, and then your teammates as well? You'll be alongside Karen Carney one moment, and then you'll be with Jamie Redknapp, there's Graham Souness, Eni Aluko, and you're all together, in it together, having fun, and we can see that enjoyment as well. It comes through the screen, and you seem to just be loving it. what is it like working and getting back together with former teammates and your mates, just having fun on TV?
Yeah, it's great. Obviously, I've done a couple of games now. I think being with Kaz has been a real special one. She's been one of my kind of really good friends throughout this journey, and she's so good at what she does. Like, she puts, the thing is though, it's not by chance that she's where she is. She puts so much work in, and I met her the other week before International Women's Week, because I was like, I had a few talks, but I wanted to make sure that I got the right messages across, and it's great that we can bounce off each other and like I steal her ideas, to be honest. But you know what, I had a great conversation with her about International Women's Week, because obviously it was the equity piece and the equality. Yeah, we need the same opportunities for men and women, but sometimes when we're getting them and suddenly the women's referees go to there because the opportunities are there for women, but that support piece needs to be put in place because you haven't had the same journey as the men to get there. It's not saying that we can't do it, but I think that support piece has to be in place. So speaking to the likes of Kaz, Farah, players like that, I think we're all so different, so it's great, yeah, just to bounce off each other and steal their ideas, really.
Yeah, do that all the time. Natalie as well. Yeah, steal everything she says, take that for later. Okay, do you know what, we've got 10 minutes left. So we have a microphone, I think, that it is going to work its way around there. If you want to raise your hand for a question, and we'll get a microphone. We'll go down here first, as the mic is closer to the lady in the pink and red. Thanks.
Hello, are you okay? No worries.
Very inspirational. I just wanted, I don't think this is working, but I hope that you can
Yeah,
hear
I can
me.
hear you.
I just wanted to know what your big coaching tip would be, like how to be the best coach you can be, particularly when you've got people that have come in new to the game and have no idea where to start. What's your one bit of advice?
Yeah, I think, first of all, don't stress too much about it. You've just got a bunch of girls or a bunch of boys that just want to play football and enjoy it. So for me, the biggest element is, have they gone away having enjoyed the session? I think that's the most important thing. If girls aren't enjoying football when they get to the age of 14, 15, 16, and there's all these other influences, they're not going to stick with it. So first of all, enjoyment. And then I think, just as a coach, try and be adaptable. You might have someone who hasn't kicked a ball before, and then you might have someone who's played in an academy. But how can you make the session where you're getting the most out of these and the most out of these as well? Always ask questions. When I was in Man City, when I wasn't coaching, I'd be asking questions of all the other coaches and just trying to get as much information as possible. But you know what, by taking that first step and getting out on the grass, you're doing such a good job for women's football because they can see a female coach. But I would definitely say the enjoyment piece first and foremost. A little crossbar challenge at the end of the session. I still did that at the age of 35, still haven't hit it. But I was like, just them little games and stuff. Sometimes we think, oh, that's what you do when you're a kid, but even with the older players, remember why they fell in love with the game in the first place. So yeah, good question.
Great answer. Right, come down to the front.
I might be able to hear. My hearing hasn't gone yet, so I might be able to hear.
Is this, yeah, okay, it's working. Just kind of on the back of what Hayley was talking about, you know, getting back kind of commentating or being in the media kind of side of things. And since you've started out so early in the non-professional side of the game, and media training probably didn't really exist then, and then, you know, fast forward to today, it exists, I'm sure, but like, what was kind of that journey like, and how did you prepare to be now this person that sits in front of lots of people, speaking all the time?
You know what, I didn't. I haven't really had media training, but I think one thing that I did was when I played, I did a lot of interviews, and I still would come and do events like this. And I think with anything, I say, sometimes you can sit down, you're going into a new role, a new job, you've got a new manager for a football team, and they're like, we need to have belief, we need to have confidence. I think you only get that belief element if you put yourself out there and do it, and that evaluating yourself as well. So after my talk, I'll ask advice and say, how was this? And because I think when you embark on a new journey, you have to start as if I was that 5-year-old Jill again. I'm starting at the bottom, ask advice, and just try and get better with each one. I know it's going to take hard work as well, so I think it's making them words come alive. So if you feel like you want to do coaching but you're not confident, the more you do it, the better you'll become. I always remember doing my driving lessons, and somebody said you'll drive one day and you won't even have to think about it. And I was like, oh my God, like, so tense. And then now I'm like, yeah, you don't need, obviously I concentrate when I'm driving, but don't get us on that one. But it's like them things just become the norm. So yeah, I think not practice makes perfect, 'cause I don't think anyone's perfect, but that practice element and always reevaluating yourself. Yeah. Thanks.
Down the front again? Yeah.
Hi, Jill.
Hello, are you okay?
First of all, I just want to say that you're such an inspiration, especially to someone like me who played football when I was younger and then got to a stage where I felt like I couldn't continue and didn't really have that person where I could carry on and didn't feel like there was a space for me in football, certainly in like a playing capacity. And I'm really lucky now that I'm in a position where I'm still involved in the game in some way.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if there was a point in your career where you got to a stage where you thought you might not be able to continue playing, and if there was like a different direction that you thought you could go in. I mean, is there someone in your life that kept you on the track that and made you what you are today?
I think when I was 14, I went away on an England camp, and Kaz Carney was there, and Iola Valuco, and I was doing quite well at Sunderland, and I got opened up to the whole country of football, and I was literally probably the worst player there out of the 30, I remember. And I got back home and I think I cried a bit, and I said, I don't think I'm ever going to be able to do what I want to do because I'm not good enough. So I think that moment was very important. But in that time, I didn't surround myself with people that were like, yeah, you're good enough, you should be there, they've got it wrong. Because I didn't get selected then for 4 years. My coaches were like, if you keep working hard, maybe you do need to be better, you need to improve at this, improve at that. So being around them honest, genuine people. I've got a friend in Jennifer Beattie, and she's someone who she never just agrees with us. She'll always challenge us and ask us questions, and I like that, and I think them people are so important at that time. So when I was 14, probably could have thought, oh, I might as well give up, but I don't think it was ever in my mind to do that. So yeah, I don't know what I would have done, to be honest. Maybe a barista. Someone walked past us the other day, they're like, there's Jill, are you still a barrister? I was like, oh yeah. It's like, I'll take that. So, yeah. So I don't actually know what I would have gone on to do, but I always say, my mum had a conversation with us the other week actually, because when I was little, I used to just go to football, and I was quite independent as a kid, and going back in the day, you didn't have 3 cars, there was 4 kids, so you just kind of did your own thing. And she says, I wish I'd have like done more with you, took you to fairs, parks and all this. She said, but you just wanted to play football. But I said to my mum, she helped us so much, because when I got back from football, it wasn't like, so how did you do today? Like, she didn't ask us all these questions and put us under pressure. Could you have done this better? And I think that's why I learned from an early age, go to football and then switch off when you're home. So sometimes people help you a lot without realising it. I don't know if that's answered your question. I've probably gone off on a tangent, but yeah, I'm not a barrister.
One to Laura's right there. Thanks. Oh, this is, yeah.
Someone take them.
Hi, Jill. I'm Alex.
You okay?
As someone who has stopped playing football reasonably recently, although I didn't finish from quite the same high as you, I just wondered what you found most difficult about the transition and how you've overcome that.
Very good question. I think probably reinventing yourself a little bit. Like, I read a book, it's a Mac accent, in COVID times, and it was called Purpose. I can't remember who wrote it, but it was like, basically, it was, what do you think your purpose is? And mine, I always thought, was football. And when I actually delved a little bit deeper into my personality and stuff like that, I realised that I just love to help people. So I love football so much because you can help the next generation. I love coaching because you can help people. Hopefully doing talks like this, if people take 1%, 2% of what you say, you're helping people. So I think realising my purpose really helped us, because then I thought, if football is my purpose and they take it away, oh my God, what am I going to do next? So I find now if I can just carry on helping people, I still get that kick out of it. So that was probably the most challenging thing, thinking I'm going to have to reinvent myself in this new career. But really, you can just take yourself to a new career, realise your purpose and kind of make it your own journey. I love that saying of don't follow a path, go off and make your own trail. And I think it's so important. So just keep being you, believe in what you're going to do next, and I'm sure you'll be fine. Yeah.
Towards the back.
Hi, I wondered what single change you would make to help to speed up the participation of girls in sport. If there was just one thing, what would it be?
That's a very good question. I do a lot of reflecting and saying, look how far we've come when I'm hearing them numbers of how many girls are now playing football. It's incredible. I think the PE thing will help a lot. Obviously participation, if girls are playing at school, I think that's going to help a lot. But I think at the same time, what I love about girls and women's football, it's been a tough journey, but I feel like we've really built this structure as we've gone. And sometimes I think if somebody just gets you in any sense and just puts you there, you can fall through the cracks in the foundation. Whereas I think we've got these real sturdy blocks now. We've got the Euros win, we've got all the work that you guys do, we've got the academies, all that stuff. So I just don't want it to go too fast. Yeah, obviously we always want better. You get a nice car, you want a better one. You get a nice house, you want a better one. But I think we have to make sure that we're facilitating them girls in a safe space. I know on the back of the Euros, each of the 23 players got their own football pitch in their area, which is brilliant. And girls and women's football is now going to take priority on them pitches. And I turned up to open this pitch and I thought, oh, it's going to be just a little pitch, whatever. It's like a £500,000 investment. I nearly came out of retirement. It's 4G, it's got changing rooms and everything like that. So I think it's nice to reflect, but also it's great to see how far we've come, and let's just keep doing it right so that we don't fall back through them cracks, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.